Okay, Integrated Math 2, I'm going to continue with the review problems from today. This is Tuesday, October the 19th. So we left off with number 8, and now we're going to pick up with number 9. So you have an angle, and you have a side, so you got to label your sides first. You want to find out what x is. So the longest side is hypotenuse. The side over on this is the opposite. And the other guy is the adjacent. So the known side is the opposite. The unknown that we're trying to find is the hypotenuse. So we need a relationship between opposite hypotenuse. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. That's the relationship. Okay? So we have sine of the angle. Now we plug in the numbers, 60 degrees equals 6 square root of 3 over x. Okay? Don't let the square root thing scare you, all right? If they give you something with a square root, they generally want you to leave the answer as a square root, okay? That's usually the way it's done. All right, so let's look up the sine of 60 first. So we come over here. There we are. There is sine 60 degrees. Close the parenthesis, and it's 0.866. So this equals 0.866 equals 6 root 3 over x. So we are going to multiply both sides by x. I'll put that in parentheses after I do that. This side cancels. Okay, so now we have x times this equals 6 root 3. So to get x by itself, we divide both sides by this. Okay, and again, if you went ahead and solved everything and gave me just a final number, that's okay. But I'm simply going to divide 6 by 0.866. And I'm going to leave the root 3 as a root 3. So if I divide 6 divided by 0.866 equals 6.9. I'm just going to call it that. So it's 6.9 root 3. If you wanted to, you could go on the calculator and take the square root of 3. So you would hit second and x squared. That gives you a square root, and put a 3 in. And get 1.732, all that, and then you multiply that by this 6.9 right here. And that would be 11.95, and I would just say approximately 12.0. If you round the 9 up to a 0 and 12. Okay? Again, I would accept either one of those answers is fine. Okay, I'd probably almost even accept that. I just want to see that you know how to do this part. That's really what I'm looking for. All right, let's keep going. Which of the following equations is correct? So you've got two angles here. This, of course, is a right angle. It's 90 degrees angle. And you got 3 sides. So it's just basically only one of these is correct. So let's see. Sine of 28. So for 28, we got 2 that are 28s. Let's deal with those first. So here for the 28, this is the hypotenuse, this is the adjacent, and the other guy, or actually that was the other guy, the opposite is over on the opposite side. So the sine of 28 is going to be 5 over 12. It's going to be the opposite over the hypotenuse for 28. That is 9 over 5. That's not correct. It would be 5 over 12, so that's not correct. Let's do the other one, cosine 28. So the cosine of 28 is going to be the adjacent over the hypotenuse. That's 9 over 12. That is correct. That's what they have. So that looks correct. Now you should still, on a multiple choice test, check all the answers. Okay? It might be that there's 2 that are correct. Well, let's just give it a try. Now the other one has to do with the angle 62. So for 62, the hypotenuse stays the same. But what was the... Okay, so for 62, we're going to erase opposite and adjacent and switch them. So for 62, this one is the opposite. and this one is the adjacent. So let's see. The tangent of 62 is the opposite over the adjacent. That would be 9 over 5. So tangent 62 is not 12 over 15, so that's not correct. So this is the correct answer. That's the only one. On the test tomorrow, there will be only one that's correct, okay? All right, let's keep going. All right, so let's draw a line here. So tie a rope to the top of a 4-foot pole. So I'm going to come over here. So that's 4 feet. And to a stake in the ground that's 6 feet away. So I should have a ruler, but I don't. So I'm going to do this and this. And the stake is just basically a hook that's holding this rope. This is the rope into the ground. So that is 6 feet. Okay, what angle does the rope make to the ground? So that's this angle right here. There's the rope, there's the ground. So that's our unknown angle theta. So for theta, this is the hypotenuse. Other side is the opposite. And this side is the adjacent. Okay, so what we know is we know the opposite and the adjacent. So that's the tangent function. Tangent, let's write it over here. We got more space. Tangent equals opposite over adjacent. Okay, so that's going to equal 4 over 6 equals tangent of theta. All right, but we don't want if we want to find an unknown angle, we have to use the arc sign. So it's going to be tangent minus 1 times tangent theta equals tangent minus 1, arc tangent, inverse tangent of 4 over 6. All right, and I'm wishing I hadn't drawn that line there. It's getting in the way now. We got plenty of space down there for this one. Okay. All right, so tangent, inverse tangent of tangent theta is theta. And that equals inverse tangent of 4 over 6. So we're going to come over here, hit the second button, and tangent. And it's going to be 4 divided by 6. You close the parenthesis, and you hit equals, and you get 33.7. I'm going to round the 6.9 up to 7. So theta equals 33.7 degrees. Remember, you're finding an angle there. So it's that angle right there. It's 33.7 degrees. Okay, and that's that problem. Okay, again, this one is just like number 10. So there you have an angle. You label, you have hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent. So our unknown is the adjacent, our known is the hypotenuse, so that relationship is a cosine. X, or cosine, whoops, I should write that. It's adjacent over hypotenuse. So the cosine, let's put in the numbers now, the cosine of 42 degrees equals adjacent over hypotenuse, X over 24. Okay, we bring that down, the cosine of 42. And we got 0.74, 0.74 equals X over 24. Multiply both sides by 24. Cancel, cancel. And you got 24 times 0.74. And that gives us about 17.8. And what is that? That's the length of X right here. It's the length of this side right here. 17.8. That side right there is 17.8. Okay, we're going to keep going. And what do we have left? We have a couple left, I think. Yeah. All right. Again, this is another one with an unknown angle, which means it's going to be an arc problem, an inverse problem. So there's theta, so this is the opposite. Long side is the hypotenuse. And the other guy. So the two sides we're working with are the opposite and the adjacent. to find theta. We know those two. So that's going to be a tangent. Okay, so now we're going to plug in the numbers. Tangent of theta, that's our unknown, equals opposite is 12 over adjacent is 26. We need to get the theta out of the tangent, so you inverse it. Tangent minus 1, tangent theta equals tangent minus 1, 12 over 26. All right, so these two inverse each other, so all you end up with here is theta. That's what you want to ultimately find out. This is tangent, inverse tangent of 12 over 26. So the way you solve that is you hit second and tangent, and you see the light blue above it is tangent minus 1 inverse. So there it is. And the numbers are 12 over 26. Close the parenthesis, and you get your answer, 24.8, if we round it, degrees. That's this. That angle. Okay. An 11-foot long ramp is used to unload furniture, and the bed of the truck is 3 feet off the ground. What angle does the ramp make with the ground? So let me draw the truck. So some of you may not be familiar with what truck bed means. So here's the truck. The truck bed is basically the bottom of the trailer there. So that they're saying that that's 3 feet off the ground. So I'm going to draw the ramp. Here's the ramp. And here is how high it is off the ground. So it says that this bed is 3 feet. Whoops, that's not a very good depiction because the wheels need to be touching the ground. So I'm going to make the wheels really long. How's that? They got to be touching the ground, obviously. Okay, I know it's kind of silly, but they got to be touching the ground. But I want to make the 3 feet big enough to be able to see it. Not just the height of the wheels. Okay, so there we go. So this is 3 feet, and it says this is 11 feet. And they want to know this angle, theta. So there's theta. So the opposite is 3 feet. That's opposite. The hypotenuse, the longest side, is the ramp. That's height. And then the other guy is adjacent. So what we're trying to find is this. We know opposite and hypotenuse. That is the sine relationship. Sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So now let's plug in the numbers. Sine theta equals opposite is 3 feet over hypotenuse is 11 feet. Okay, so now we have to use the inverse. So inverse sine theta equals inverse sine, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other, of 3 over 11. So I'm going to bring my problem over to this side where I have some more space. So that should be a -1 there, and that should be a -1 there. Inverse sine. So inverse sine of sine is simply theta. It unwraps the theta out of the problem there. And inverse sine of 3 over 11. So you come to your calculator. Okay. So it's second and sine. And there it gives you the inverse. And it is, I'm getting a little blurry here. And it's 3 divided by 11. Close the parenthesis. And you get 15.8 degrees. That's the angle of theta. So 15.8 degrees is your answer. Okay, there it is right there. And that's all the problems that we didn't do in class. I think I'm going to leave it at that. You were in class today. You have all the other problems. Hopefully you got them all down. And I will leave it at that. So I'll get this up as quickly as I can. I had some issues getting things up earlier. So let's go ahead and close that out, and we'll see you in class.